I think too many students think black or white, A or B.
Yeah.
And they don't think about, well, there's either or, they don't think of and. Ask Dr. Gray pre-med Q&A brought to you by Blueprint MCAT. How are you today?
I'm well. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful. What can I help you with?
So, a lot of my questions revolve around being a reapplicant and also
Okay.
someone who is non-traditional.
Awesome.
So, I previously applied to medical school in May of 2020.
Okay.
No interviews, no acceptances, and I'm trying to figure out how to get my application prepped. If there are some things that I need to be doing or should be doing within this next year, and kind of just like where to start after, applying and not getting any interviews.
Yeah. So let's do some self-reflection here. All
Yes.
right. So let's close the eyes. Let's visualize. What did that application look like that caused 0 interviews and obviously 0 acceptances?
So I know it was my MCAT score.
Okay.
I had submitted everything by May, had already submitted all my secondary applications. Unfortunately, right after I submitted everything for my primaries, my mom was diagnosed with cancer. So I was studying for the MCAT and working on that kind of stuff and working remotely.
Yeah.
So I was trying to juggle everything, and I was in this spot where I was like, well, I don't know if I'm confident, but I have to do it. I have to take this MCAT because it's the last piece of the puzzle. Out of 500.
Okay.
Was not a good score. So
They're not horrible, but it's not great.
It's what's considered average, but for the schools that I applied to, it just wasn't going to cut it.
Yep.
So I think that was a major piece of my application of what.
And were you trapped in that because that time period, May of 2020, there's this little thing like the start of the pandemic where the MCAT was getting canceled everywhere. Were you stuck in that as well?
Yeah, I originally had it for, I think it was like April.
Okay.
Then pandemic, they pushed everything. And I think the earliest one I could get was August. I think they had some in September, but by then I was like, it's not going to make much of a difference because I think they were doing the 2-week score releases. So it was still within the same time period.
Yeah. Okay. So MCAT score is obviously a big factor. GPA wise, okay, not an issue.
So in undergrad, I had to really get my GPA up. I started at Rutgers University with a 2.3, transferring in as a sophomore. I got it up to a 3.4.
Wait, so pause. So transferring in as a sophomore with a 2.3 because of dual enrollment through high school?
No.
Community college.
I was originally at a local community college for my first year.
Got it.
Transferred in, started at Rutgers. My first semester, I got a 2.3. Not a good time.
So 2.3
is what I started at with Rutgers.
You didn't start there. That's what you got your first
GPA.
semester. Okay.
Yeah, my first GPA first semester at Rutgers.
What did you get at the community college?
I think it was like a 3.5.
Okay, so
it was a really big dip.
3.5, and so you're the very common one where it's like you don't want to go to a community college, go to the university, and then completely tank because then the school is going to go, well, obviously you did well at community college and you didn't do well at university, so it's perpetuating this like philosophy, this theory that community college is just easier, whatever. So okay.
I think when it came to a lot of the pre-med classes, because I had advisors saying, well, because you're going to a community college, you're not going to go to med school. Like, so I kind of had like this lack of confidence going into it. So I started with Morgo, started with physics, tank.
Yeah. Okay.
I got my GPA up to a 3.4 though. I figured it's still not where I want it. I did a master's
3.4
program.
for the semester, or 3.4 overall?
Ending.
So that means if you started 3.5, 2.3-ish, then you were crushing it, like 3.8, 3.9, 4.0-ish.
Yeah, I remember my senior year, I was like working full time, 20 credits, all A's. I was like, I need to show them that I'm capable of doing this.
Love it.
And I really
and you did it.
I'm very proud of myself.
Okay. But for some reason you thought you needed more.
Yes.
Okay.
So I went and did a specialized master's program at Rutgers, their medical school.
Okay.
and I ended up getting a 395.
Holy
So
cow.
I did the thing.
So
I did
so
what needed to be done.
395 at an SMP is like unheard of. So
I got
uh
1B. Was not happy. Or B
terrible.
plus. I wasn't
Horrible.
happy. I
Horrible.
know. I was like, I might as well drop out now.
Okay. So GPA wise, you're completely fine.
Okay.
MCAT wise. Okay. So what are we doing for the MCAT?
I have always had this problem of standardized testing. It's been just a mess.
Okay.
I always lack that confidence. But so I took it twice. The first time I did 500.
Okay.
I did a whole prep class with Kaplan.
Okay. Well, that was your first problem.
Blueprint. I know. I did. No. I had Blueprint, the question bank, which was really helpful. And so I was scoring around like a 509, 510.
Okay.
And then I go in the morning of, didn't sleep well the night before, get to 503. So I know that I can do it, but it's just, it's a hurdle that I have yet to cross.
Yeah. So my first suggestion is that's number one, it's awesome you understand that about yourself, that you have some anxiety around standardized tests and about going in. And then what I typically see is students, especially with test anxiety to begin with, who need to go and retake the MCAT, you put all of this external pressure on yourself of like, if I don't do it this time, then I'm never going to get into med school. And it's just not the case unless it's your 7th time. And then we're struggling, right? Because you could only take it 7 times. Praise the Lord. Like we don't have to take it 7 times. Anyway, the fact that you know that is awesome. And guess what? There are people out there who can help you with this. They're called therapists.
I know.
Have you talked? And I see two. I have 2 therapists in my life. Have you talked to anyone about your test anxiety?
No, because I never thought of that actually. I figured, for not to say that this isn't like a real life issue, but I didn't know that this was something that if I went to a therapist, would they know what I was talking about or understand, I guess, that what I was going through.
So go onto Google. Google test anxiety, the pre-med years. Dr. David Pewter is a physician. He's a psychiatrist, but he does a lot of test anxiety work with medical students. And so there are people out there who can help you with this. So you can go find test anxiety specialists. I mean, a normal kind of marriage therapist or whatever kind of therapist, family therapist, obviously is probably not who you want to go talk to, just like you wouldn't go see a pulmonologist if you have a broken bone. So you got to go find the specialist that can potentially help you with this, whether that's some sort of medical therapy. If you need, like, some people will take beta blockers just to slow their heart rate down. Like before they go give a big speech, they'll take a beta blocker just to calm them down, right? Slowing their heart rate down helps keep them calm. So there are ways potentially to work through this. So that's step number 1 is making sure that the anxiety part, the stress of needing to take the test again and the pressure that you're putting on yourself is as little of a factor as possible in your score.
Yeah, because I know it's always going to, there's always going to be some stress when it comes to taking a test that's 7 hours long at 7 o'clock in the morning. But
7.5, don't sell it short.
I know. But I think that's also why I took this additional gap year, because the thought of taking the exam twice and then having to get right back into studying, I was like, I can't even. The thought of doing that, I would rather just
I hear you.
Think about it.
I hear you.
So I've taken the last kind of year or so to just do whatever I want. Like I've never had that opportunity in graduate school, because I was working and going to school and all these other things of just like, if I want to watch HGTV, I'll just do that. If I want to go,
who doesn't want to watch HGTV?
I know, I'm a big HGTV gal, but I took the time. Like I got 2 dogs, and it's like that's what I've spent my time doing. And although it's been great for me, that's also something that I worry about reapplying of medical school, asking, well, what did you do with these gap years?
Yeah.
I haven't been I currently work in a remote setting where I work with sponsors and I'm still in clinical research, but I'm not having that patient facing experience that I had for so many years.
Yeah.
So I worry about them seeing that gap and saying, well, why did she leave patient
Yeah.
facing experiences to do something like this? And she hasn't done any volunteering. I mean, given COVID, you can't really go into hospitals and volunteer anymore. But, even with e-shadowing and things like that,
Mhm.
is there something else that I need to be doing just to show that I still am in this, I guess?
Yeah. So I wouldn't worry about what you've done because you can't change that. The
Right.
only thing that you can help yourself with that is just the narrative that you come forward with. So if they say, "What were you doing during this time?" You were saying, I was taking a break. I think I overdid it. I had taken the MCAT, I applied, and I was just stressed out and I just wanted to take a break." Whatever that narrative is for you that you
Right.
feel you're most comfortable telling that fits your truth as much as possible. What's done is done. Now it's like, okay, I'm ready to apply again. Are you applying this cycle or no, next cycle?
Not this cycle, next cycle.
Okay. So you still have many months, almost a year until the next
Yeah.
cycle opens up. So tomorrow you could go out and find a scribe job. You can find a medical assistant job. You can go do something where you're more patient facing again.
Mhm.
And just moving forward, do the things that you know you've been missing and allow yourself that grace of taking some time and HGTVing it up. That's okay.
I guess,
I like
like, I
watching
know
Property Brothers. Like,
I know you
I mean, you can't go wrong.
fixer upper, all that kind of stuff. But I guess like another, because I guess the reason why I haven't looked at like a scribe job or anything like that as of recently, because I work full time, so and I love my job right now. Like
Okay.
it works well for me. It's a good schedule where I can still do the things that I would like to do, and it gives me the flexibility of studying for the MCAT when I will begin doing that again. So it's tough to, do I take on another part-time job for something like that? Or I guess like what do you recommend in that case?
I don't think there's a right or a wrong. I think you find something that works for you with your
Yeah.
schedule, with what you want to do. I think too many students think black or white, A or B,
Yeah.
and they don't think about, well, there's either or. They don't think of and. Right?
Yeah.
You can do both. You can have the job that gives you the flexibility now, and you can find something that you can add on that doesn't add a lot of stress and time commitment. Maybe it's like one day every few weeks, one day a month, whatever it is, that's giving you the patient facing, the clinical experience side of things that allows you to kind of remember why you're doing this, reconfirm that you want to keep doing this.
Right.
And so I don't think there's a right or a wrong way that you can proceed forward.
That's good to know, because it's all about trying to find the right balance right now, and I don't want to take on too much and say, well, okay, well, I'll go do another part-time job and then end up being like, okay, well, now I'm too burnt out. I can't even
Yeah.
get over the MCAT hurdle. So
Yep.
that's a good concept. Another question that I had was, since I'm going to be reapplying, I have letters that I used the first time around.
Mhm.
Where is it inappropriate to reuse those letters? Like, I don't know if my application was even seen.
Yeah.
And I know for some schools, they want a letter from a science professor. They want certain, like somebody that you shadowed or
Yep.
worked with. And it's been like, what, 2 or 3 years since I've been in a science class. Can I still
Yeah.
use those letters, or should I try and reach out to these professors again? Like, I worry that it will come off as ingenuine of saying, well, hey, I know I haven't talked to you in 3 years, but
Yeah.
can you write this for me?
Yeah. So I'll give you the ideal scenario. The ideal scenario is you do reach out tomorrow, today, as soon as we hang up, and say, "Hey, Professor Smith, I want to thank you again for writing me a letter. Unfortunately, it didn't get in. I'll be reapplying next cycle. Here's what I've been up to. How are things with you? Blah, blah, blah," right? Rekindle that connection, that friendship, mentorship, whatever that relationship was, rekindle that relationship, and just say, one of the things that was recommended is that I get a letter of recommendation that's dated the year that I applied to medical school.
Okay.
If it's possible, can you just redate your letter of recommendation at a bare minimum and resubmit it when I'm ready next cycle? If you want to add anything, I'm happy to provide any extra details that you need of what I've been doing.
Okay.
All right, so just go rekindle that relationship. That's best case scenario. If they ghost you, you don't hear from them, they say no, whatever, you can use an older letter of recommendation. I'm assuming they're still in some sort of Interfolio or somewhere where you can access them.
Like a university bank.
Yeah.
Pre-med bank.
Okay.
And then I had another question. Sorry, I'm just going to pull them up on my phone.
Yeah.
I guess, so this was a question that I had. So I know that you said mainly focus on the MCAT, that the GPA is good. So I also, and maybe it's because like Reddit can kind of be a cesspool sometimes, but
sometimes it's better than Student Doctor Network.
Oh, I don't even stray there.
Good.
I don't even go there. I've seen individuals saying that it may be worth it to retake classes that maybe you got a C in undergrad, like for organic chemistry and physics. Do you think it's even worth it at this point?
No. C-, yes. C, no.
Okay. That's all that I need to hear. And then the other question, so I know when it comes to the personal statement, I guess it's in relation to the letters. So I'm the general question that I have regarding the personal statement. So my main like reason for why I want to become a physician, it hasn't changed. So I don't know if it is is it okay to pull from my original personal statement and tweak it? Because I don't, you know what I mean? Like there's certain things about my life that have already happened.
Yep.
And taking a scribe job or something like that, that's not going to be my reason why I pursue this. So I don't know if it's appropriate to, obviously I don't want to reuse the entire statement, but I've heard things where it's like you shouldn't use any of it. You should completely do an entirely new statement with none of the things that you said before. So I guess, is there an in-between or
so there's always an in-between, right? The in-between is almost always the right answer. If you did what I recommend in terms of how you wrote your personal statement the first time, which is a story about why you want to be a doctor, that typically, at least the framework that I use of seed and then watering the seed, your seed hasn't changed, right? Whatever it was, wherever you were exposed to healthcare in some way that made you think of this thing as a career and potentially wanting to go explore that for yourself, that doesn't change, right? Just because you didn't get into med school the first time, just because you have taken a break, just because you go and take a new scribe job, like the reason why you started doing this all in the first place doesn't change. And so you can't change that part of your personal statement because the personal statement is still, why do you want to be a doctor? So you can't make something up. So you're going to use a lot of the same narrative about why you're doing this. Now, what you can change is some of the language, because you've grown as a person. Our society, our language changes a lot as we continue to grow, right? We say cap and no cap these days. Like, don't put that in your personal statement, right? So anyway, language changes. So reread it, massage it, use language that you would use now that feels comfortable for you now. And potentially there are supporting experiences that maybe you feel better support your reasons why you want to do this now that it's a couple of years after.
And should I guess, address or talk about any of the, I guess, this gap that I've taken, or is that something that I should leave, I guess, towards the secondaries?
Leave for secondaries. Yeah, because of the personal statements, why do you want to be a doctor? So just taking a gap, again, doesn't necessarily change that. Your activities will reflect some gaps, potentially. And then secondary essays, where schools are specifically asking, if you've graduated, what have you been up to?
I didn't realize that all my questions would be answered that quickly. And yeah, I'm sorry. I know that we still have like 5 more minutes. Is that
it's fine.
Normal? Is that
it's fine? Okay. Yeah. So question moving forward, you took a Kaplan course before. Full-length exams are a huge part of doing well on the MCAT. Blueprint has some really good full length exams, so go check them out. And
I know there's some free ones.
You
I
get
did
some
take
free
a free
ones.
one back
Good.
in 2020, but I don't know if I utilized it as well. So I'm hoping I'm out of that window where I won't remember anything that I've seen. So that's my next my next thing. Do you have any codes for us?
No codes. No codes. Just
codes.
check them out. Yeah, they don't do codes anymore, unfortunately. But the big thing, like I mentioned before, go on to Google and search MCAT or test anxiety pre-med years and find that episode I did again with Dr. David Pewter.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that.